Hello. Today I'd like to talk about the Doctor Who story The Aztecs by John Le Carrotti. It's from the very first season of Doctor Who, way back in 1963 to 64. And it's a historical adventure, and as was at the time, it would be a pure historical adventure with no aliens or any other type of monsters or time travel except for the TARDIS and the TARDIS crew. One of the reasons that I love this story so much is because of Tlotoxl, if that is how you pronounce his name. I mean, the main thing is he a villain? He's portrayed as one within the narrative, but if you actually take a step back and think about it, he's just fighting for his way of life against what he considers to be a false goddess. And indeed, time will prove him right, because Barbara is a false goddess. Also, you could twist this around and think to yourself, is the villain of the story not Tlotoxl, but Barbara, the Doctor's companion? She is trying to impose her beliefs onto the Aztec people by virtue of being a goddess. But then that gets complicated again, because as the programme continues, the Doctor will go on to do that in so many stories to come. I just love this story. It is a good story about moral imperialism. Can you really impose your will on a society, especially if people feel that you are a god and automatically give you the right to do so? Having this automatic right, do you then have the power and the authority to change what people think, how they act, how they feel? And yet, if it means fighting things like human sacrifices, do you have a moral right to do so or not? That is the question that is within that. Also, from the other side, as I say, I do love Tlotoxl. He is portrayed within the script as the villain. But, again, if you take a step back, firstly, he's fighting for his way of life. And secondly, he correctly sees through Barbara and recognises that she is a false goddess. Of course, from our perspective, things like sacrifices are awful, so Barbara is correct in what she is trying to do. But from a more sociological and wider perspective, Tlotoxl is equally correct. As I've said, he's just defending his culture, his way of life. I mean, how would you like it if someone tried to stop you from practicing your religion, voting with your conscience, or participating in a music festival? You'd stand up for your right to continue to do those things. And that is precisely what Tlotoxl is doing here. But Barbara is also correct. Think about it. If you were in her position, can you just sit there and watch someone commit suicide or be ritually killed in your name? Depending on your historical knowledge, you have at least an idea of how things will work out. But wouldn't you try to give history a nudge to save a person's life? Possibly.
You can't rewrite history, not one line.
So, the Doctor says a firm no here. There's no ambiguity. History cannot be changed, and that's how it would be for at least another year. In 1965, we get the first story to challenge that view in The Time Meddler. Here, the monk from the Doctor's unnamed planet at the time tries to change the outcome of the Battle of Hastings. Well, surely he would have attended the same lessons as the Doctor and would know that you can't change history. Similarly, in 1983, once our folklore of the Doctor Who universe is more established, the Master tries to change the outcome and the signing of the Magna Carta. Even the Time Lords themselves get in on the act in 1975 by hiring the Doctor to try and stop the creation of the Daleks. Putting all those together, maybe the Doctor took a sickie on that day when they were discussing such points at the Time Lord Academy. But from a TV production point of view, if history can't be changed, then who cares about Sontarans landing in medieval England, as we all know that it's going to be okay.
Well, now we are here, why don't you tune up 1980 and we can, well, leave?
I can't.
Oh. Well, why can't you?
Because if Sutek isn't stopped, he'll destroy the world.
But he didn't, did he? I mean, we know the world didn't end in 1911.
Do we?
Yes.
1980, Sarah, if you want to get off.
So, to conclude, this is a fascinating story that has so many layers and food for thought, both in the script and out of it. This is the 6th ever Doctor Who story, yet it's so fascinating. Whether knowingly or not, it has so many food for thought. How far can a Time Lord change time? Remember David Tennant in The Waters of Mars and becoming the Time Lord victorious? Well, he was brought down by abusing his powers. But in that first ever season, no one knew that the programme would continue and evolve into what it is today. Off screen, that sentence about changing time was to create the needed drama between Barbara, the Doctor, and Tlotoxl. But in asking that question, the story would also ask the audience to consider moral imperialism. Is it okay to change another society's norms? What makes your viewpoint more accurate and valid than someone else's? There's a line in Superman the movie where Lex Luthor says that some people can read War and Peace and think it's just an adventure story. Yet others can unwrap the secrets of the universe by reading the ingredients on the back of a chewing gum wrapper. The Aztecs is such a story for me. As a child, I read the novelisation and it was a pure adventure story. As an adult, I watched the VHS video release and went down the rabbit hole of imposing our views on others and changing history. But this story offers even more than what I've just been saying. We also see Aztec society through Susan. We have the adventurous side with Ian. But ultimately, once again, it is Barbara who steals the story.